Welcome to the Better Business Podcast. I'm your host, Austin Zelan. Join me week after week as I interview high-level entrepreneurs on their journey to success, both in business and personal development. Each week presents new stories to learn from and new ideas on how to run a better business. Stay updated with all the guests we'll have by subscribing to this podcast. Welcome to another episode of Better Business with Austin Zelan. Today we have our guest, Nik Dhimal. He's going to share a little bit about his experience with the Army, his experience with real estate, and all the other cool stuff he's been able to experience up until this point. So Nik, thank you so much for joining us here today. I'm very excited to learn more about your story and some of the things that you've accomplished, and especially like some of your success in business, because there's going to be a lot of people watching this and maybe they're in a similar position to where you were and they can relate to your story and they can take away some golden nuggets of what you've learned in business and how they can also improve what they've got going on. So let's start off with just a little quick background story on you. Like, can you tell us a little bit more about who you are and where you came from?
Yeah, sure. So I've been in the British Army for 6 years now.
Okay.
And I got selected from Nepal. So there's two ways the British Army select. One is from the UK and the other one is from Nepal.
It's only Nepal?
Yeah, only Nepal, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And the reason is because Nepal and British government, they have a treaty between each other. So where they can select every year around 200 young soldiers from Nepal.
Interesting.
And the fact is, this selection process is one of the toughest army selection because it's a whole year process. You have 3 phases.
Yeah.
So first phase, taste. Second phase, those who pass in the first phase, then again to the final. And over every year, there are over 8,000 applicants who try to join British Army. Yeah. And only 200 to 300 get selected. It's the world toughest British Army selection.
Wow, that's awesome. So do they like come to Nepal and they're like, all right, you guys compete, or like, what do you have to do?
Yeah, so they have a camp in different places of Nepal.
Kind of like a boot camp?
Yeah, kind of like that, yeah.
Okay.
And then, so what they have done is they divided into East and West. So they have the selection on both sides, and the final one will be selected in the Central. And that's how they select.
Interesting. And so like, what do you guys have to do though? Is there like a competition or...
Yeah. So there's competition. It has been changed slightly, but when I was going through the phases, so you have a running test, you have 800 meters. So from there, who comes in the shortest timing, the best timing, they will select them as well. And then you have heavings, sit-ups, and then you have the toughest selection is, I would say, the final selection, where you have to carry 25 kilogram on your back and you have to run uphill. That's 5 kilometers. There will be around 100 people running with you. And they will select the top of the top. So basically, those who only come the best timings.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's the toughest selection because during that test phase, I literally tested my own blood, and I stopped for a while and I said, I promised myself I will never ever inspire or encourage my family member to go through this selection.
Wow.
That's how I felt. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So did you like prepare yourself for this in any way? Like, did you practice running up a hill with like weight?
Yes. Yeah, so it's a 1 year selection. So first let's say for example, in January, they'll open the form. So in that phase, they will check documents. If you are passed, then after 3 months or 4 months, you have second selection where you do 800 meter and having sit up. Yeah. And then if you pass, then you have another 3 to 4 months for the final selection preparation. So it's a whole year process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That sounds very, very intense.
I mean, it's they select between 18 to 21.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, they try, from 18 while they're 18 to 21, and they don't even get into British Army. Then they focus on other stuff.
Yeah. Interesting. So are you glad you went through that experience? Like, did it teach you anything?
Yeah, I'm really grateful because I would say these are the phases that helped me to prepare, for the life because. Right from the school, as soon as I finished my school, I trained for the British Army. And from there, my journey started with the entrepreneur and the army side.
Yeah, definitely. Wow, that's awesome. And so like basically transitioning out of the army, like let's say you're in the army, you're like currently active. And so did you begin doing your entrepreneurial things while you were still in there, or did you wait until you were out? Like, how did that transition happen?
Very good question. So while I was in Afghanistan, so I served in Afghanistan as well for 6 months.
Okay.
So during that time, while you were in Operation Theater, you have a lot of time during your rest period. So I started focusing on self-help books, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, and from there, I came across real estate. Yeah. And what I've realized is, no matter which business you are, no matter which celebrity at the end they invest in real estate. And I checked the graph over the 100 years. There's a demand, and there's demand now as well, and there will be demand in the future, no matter how much advance we move forward. And that really got ticked me into real estate. And it's very simple to understand, but not easy to do, but very simple to understand real estate.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's kind of written all over the place. Like if you are a successful person and you have made some money, you typically put it in real estate. And so that's a lot of the wealthy people, that's what they're doing.
Exactly.
And so they continue to grow their wealth. But one interesting aspect of that is like many people have chosen to build their wealth outside of real estate, like through businesses or acquisition or just being a founder and like creating companies. And then they invest that money into real estate. So they don't necessarily make it in real estate, but they grow it in real estate. And so I think it's very interesting that you've taken an approach where you're kind of growing your wealth with real estate and continuing to build more of that portfolio for yourself. So what was like your first deal in real estate?
So what I used to do is my first deal was I rented a whole a property, let's say 6 to 7 bed in London. Then I used to,
so it's just like one house or
yeah,
like
it's one house.
building?
So basically, so it's a strategy where you can get into real estate without owning a property. So basically, subleasing, you say in Dubai. So where I rent a 6 bed, 7 bed property, then I used to rent out room by room. So after paying the bills and paying the landlord, there's a certain profit you can make. That was my first deal in central London.
Cool. So you basically were on the hook for the main rental, and then you sublet it out to other people.
That's correct. Yeah. And while I was serving the army. So that's what I used to do. That was my first deal.
Was it a lot of headache, like trying to manage all the tenants and stuff like that?
Very headache, yeah. Because you're not managing one tenant, you are managing 5 to 6 different tenants. And in normal tenant, you have a issue with the property. But with this tenant, they have issue with each other. So you're not managing the property, you are managing the individual tenant and their relation, because
you're like an HR manager.
Exactly. They fight with each other, complaining and things like that. It was very challenging. And the other challenging thing was I was based 3 to 4 hours away from that property. So if anything happens, I should drive 4 hours, solve the issue, go back 4 hours during the army.
Wow, that's crazy. So how often did you have to make that drive?
Well, for the first deal, I was very scared because the amount rent I was paying and the deposit and the risk I was taking was very scary. And I think I used to drive 3 to 4 times a week.
That's
because
crazy.
I used to make a viewing because I used to be in the army for 5 p.m. And I used to do all the block viewings around 8 to 9 p.m. And I had to try to get out from my...
So what does that mean, like a viewing?
Viewing means arranging a viewing with potential tenants. Showing them the property around. Yeah.
So you would leave the army at 5? And you do
early if possible. And drive all the way back to London.
And then do it 8 to 9 p.m. viewing?
Yeah. And then go back around. I used to drive maybe 2 to 3 a.m. in the morning and sleep a couple of hours, then 8 a.m. back to parade. Yeah, that was interesting. And I think I'm really grateful for that journey as well. Because during that phase, it will help you to be strong, mentally strong. If you have gone through the challenges, the rest is very easy.
Yeah, it's very true. It does teach you a lot. And I think it's a very, very important lesson for business owners to learn. So what would you say were maybe some of the biggest challenges that you faced outside of the people like fighting with each other, like during growing this real estate portfolio?
I would say, because as you can hear from my accent, English is not my first language. So I think that was the first challenge, because all the property I need to get from the agent and I need to build a trust with them to assure them I can look after the property, I can pay the rent on time, I can build my portfolio. I think that was the first challenge, I would say, to build a trust.
Convince the landlord that you're able to pay the rent.
Yeah. But it's an opportunity as well, you see, because let's say if there's 10 people trying to get the same property, but I can stood out because of the different accent. They will remember me because of different accent, and if I can show them that I can really do it. And I think because of the army background, that helped me to build my the profile, you say. Yeah, that's awesome. No, it's a great point. We actually talked about something very similar to that earlier in one of the other interviews I did, where for some people it might be a disadvantage and they might not see the opportunity. But if you can really see the opportunity to turn your disadvantage into an advantage, that can
that can help you so much in business. And it's not just an accent. Sometimes it's a skill set. Sometimes it's a mindset. And putting yourself in the right environment or in the right position to leverage that thing, whatever it is that makes you unique, into an advantage is like one of the things that we have to figure out as an entrepreneur. And so I've had to do that in my own life, where I've been in rooms where I wasn't appreciated, or in organizations where people didn't realize like, okay, this can be valuable to us. And that's just because they were boxed into their own thinking. And so when I switched my environment, my business began to grow, and I began to see like the fruits of whatever that thing was that made me unique. So yeah, it's a great point. So just like out of curiosity, was that first property for you like profitable? Like, did it make money, or did it kind of like...
The first property didn't make me any money.
Okay.
But it helped me to, get into the step.
Yeah.
Because of that portfolio, now it was easy for me to convince other agent or the landlord, look, I have a property and this is what I manage. And that helped me to build the portfolio. Yeah. That's what I did for a year and so. Yeah. And after that, I started buying my own real estate, rundown properties where I used to do renovation, then force the value, sell it or refinance and buy the properties.
Yeah.
That's how I started with the property journey, from renting to owning properties.
Okay, cool. And so you'd say you prefer the model of buying the property versus renting it?
It depends with the strategy. So now what we do is I have completely different business model than what I started. So now we manage properties for our landlords, for our investors who are based in UK or outside the UK. So what we're trying to create a streamlined process where they don't have to take any headache. We find the properties for them. We make sure the property is in good area within the budget. Property is profitable, and then we have mortgage team where home loan, basically the guy who does the mortgage, and then a solicitor who does all the legals, and then once the property keys has been collected, my letting team manages their portfolio.
So you're basically finding the tenants for them and helping them fill the place with these people.
Finding property, finding the right mortgage, and then finding a tenant.
I mean, I think that's just like such a beautiful story of entrepreneurship, like you found something that was such a pain in the butt for you, something that you really hated doing. You had to drive 4 hours to like resolve these disputes, and you solved that problem for somebody else. And so now you're monetizing that and you made that into a whole business. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's as entrepreneurs, that's at the core of what we do. We solve problems, and then we just find a way to get paid to solve problems.
100%. So there's opportunity in every problem, because if there is no problem, then there's no opportunity. But if there's problem, there's opportunity. If you bring the solution on the table, people will pay for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you share any specific like strategies or tactics that you use to grow your portfolio or your business?
I would say number one is social media, because at the moment the social media, you can share your story, you can share what you do, because if no one knows you, no one can do business with you. Even if you have the best product, best service, if no one knows you, no one can do business with you. But if you have decent product, but everyone knows you, then your business will scale from there. Yes, I would say social media, number one thing. And for us, all team, they have to make social media content to be in the team. Because that's how they get leads. That's how they close the deals. I would say social media is number one. We shouldn't, underestimate the power of social media.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I tell that to my clients all the time. Actually, it's one of my favorite lines is like, I know your product is amazing. I know you like have the best thing in the whole world, but nobody knows you. Exactly. So how do we get more people to know you? And it's a great point. Like the person that has a decent product, or even sometimes not even a good product, but everybody knows them, they're going to make way more money and have a way bigger business than somebody who has the best product in the entire world, but like 5 people know them and one of them is their mom. So it's like you have these, it's like you choose, it's not an excuse to have a bad product, but like you need to get known and you need to have that exposure in order to grow your business. So 100%. I think it's 100% a great strategy. Now, as far as like decision making in your business, obviously you've learned to become nimble and pivot when you need to. What would you say contributes to your decision making process when it comes to times of uncertainty? So maybe you don't really know how it's going to like continue for the next few years. Like what do you factor in when making those decisions?
So I would say what most people do is when they face any issue, they try to solve it themselves. But for me, I try to connect with people who are in the same business and who are like higher than me. I try to surround myself with these kind of people,
like
or even
mentors
a mentor
and stuff like that. Yeah,
mentor or a friend who's doing same business or different business, much higher level, that will help me or push me to scale as well. If I face any problem, I can go to them and ask a solution because they have already faced that. And I think that's the easiest way you can run your business as well. You don't have to do extra outside the box. Just find someone who's doing much better than you and just learn from them and modify, just learn from them. That's what I would say. And that's what helped me to make any decision if I face any problems.
Do you pay to be around your mentors, or do they just help you for free?
So I have few mentors. I do pay them, but I take it as an investment. Because if I don't pay any attention to their advice, to their value. Yeah. But if I pay, I focus on their advice and I take that serious. Yeah. So yes, I do have mentors who I pay and I take advice from them.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I 100% agree with you. I think, if you're paying for something, you're going to pay a lot more attention and you're going to take it seriously. And so, I've seen people, there have been some people in my life that I've mentored for free just because I like them and I want to help them, and they literally don't do anything with the information. I'm like, dude, you could be like a millionaire literally by now, and you're just not taking it seriously. Whereas I'll have somebody else come in and they'll pay me for information, and within 6 months they've doubled their business. It's like, what's the difference? Well, one person took it seriously and the other one is like, oh, it's good information.
Yeah. Thank you for
and
that.
And they just keep things as is. Like, okay, dude. But anyways, another thing is, I think you mentioned something very important about mentorship is like, I think there are different types of mentors that we have in our life. It's like, you have people who are like similar to your level maybe, or maybe in a different business, and you can kind of bounce ideas off each other. Yeah. There's like multiple types of mentors. So you have somebody that's like one step ahead of you maybe, right? And then you have somebody who's like 10 steps ahead of you. Yeah. And you have somebody who's like 100 steps ahead of you. So you have this one person that you're kind of like very close to. It's like, okay, they just faced what I'm facing 6 months ago. The person that's 10 steps ahead, maybe like 2-3 years ago, they were going through what I'm doing. And then you have like this maybe super seasoned guy who's like 40 years older than you. Like, they did this in their childhood and now they're a billionaire. It's like, okay, eventually I want to have something similar to what this guy's built. So that kind of allows us to also, I think, pace ourselves correctly. Right. Because if we're just looking in the near term, we're never going to achieve those long-term goals. If we only look at the long-term goals, sometimes we forget about the daily steps that it takes to get there. Yeah. So I think each one of those play a role, definitely. And so in the ever-changing environment that we're living in, how do you keep up with industry trends and different things that are changing in our market?
So what I do is I try to attend events. Different event doesn't have to be property, different event, because you can learn anything from anyone. It doesn't have to be same business. So that's what I do. I try to keep up with the people who are in the business or different business and try to attend events as much as possible.
Okay. And so do you work together with a team, or is it just you?
Yes, so we have a team of 20 people. So we work as a team. Everyone have their own departments, their own roles. And we do a weekly meeting with everyone to see where they are, their weekly goals, and they track what they are doing, if they have achieved the goal or not, and if there's anything we need to work on. So that's what we plan.
And so how do you attract and retain this top talent? Right? Obviously, you're looking for very talented people who are really good at what they do. How do you attract them and then get them to stay with your team?
So that's a very good question. So we first observe. So we won't just open the door for anyone to join team. We'll first observe the other people, whoever wants to join our team.
What does that mean?
So if someone wants to join our team, we just give them a few tasks to do.
Like an internship?
Yeah, like an internship. Yeah. Okay. And see what they do. Because some will take action, some will make excuses. And then slowly we filter those, and whoever's serious, we slowly get him into the team and just see the track record. We give them a goal, they get target, and see how far they have come, if they have faced any challenges, what they have done to solve the challenge. And that will tell me a lot about the people. If they face any problem, if they come to me with every problem, that's an indication they are not trying to solve themselves. But if they come up with me with a solution, that means they are trying to go outside the box to find a solution and then come up with me with a solution. Yeah.
And do you think these people are just attracted to your organization because it's a job, or maybe they're attracted to you as a person, or maybe your like style of business, or that they just want to be in real estate? Is it a personal brand type of thing? Like, what do you think attracts these people?
I think mix of everything. Maybe the bonus, the commission, right? The real estate business, and the marketing, the way we do it, marketing. I think that attracts them as well. I want to do a video like this. I want to visit properties, do deals like this. I think that this is a lifestyle, or maybe lifestyle as well.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, cool. And so, what role would you say company culture plays with your team?
What role in terms of?
Like, is it important to you? Like, do you have a specific company culture that you've developed? Are you intentional about it, or did it just kind of happen? Like, how do you cultivate company culture in your organization?
So the good thing is, most of my team, they are in the military or ex-military. So what we do is same principle as in military. We just transition from military to business. So we use similar words, similar phases, and the similar target as a military.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, it's kind of cool that you guys all came from a similar background, because you've developed these values and specific ways of doing things, and now you're just leveraging that. So, I see that you've learned very well how to leverage your circumstances around you and the things that you've got, the tools to be successful. So could you also share maybe like a setback or a challenge that happened in your business that you really learned a lot from?
Yeah, so I would say setback is during the renovation time. When builders, contractors, when they run out with their money, that's a huge challenge for me.
Yeah.
Because I have investors, right? And if the contractors run away with the money, then that's my responsibility. I just simply can't go to investor and say, we lost the money.
Yeah.
I think that was a few challenges I faced where, it's...
Did that happen a lot?
Yeah. In UK, it's like very common because there are pretty much many dodgy contractors. And the most mistake most of people do, like myself, is paying contractors in advance for the job. Let's say 30 grand, 40 grand, you pay advance, next day they will disappear. You'll never see them again. And where are you going to complain? You have project to complete, there are investors line up. I think that was the challenging phase for me. And all this project was like 3 to 4 hours away from me as well. Yeah, that was really challenging.
Interesting. So you weren't able to like really micromanage it from 4 hours away.
Yeah, you can micromanage, but when you start initially, you would have no clue.
Yeah, so you don't know what to look for.
Yeah, so I gave all the project to one contractor, and his responsibility was to find individual contractors to get the job done. But if the first contractor disappear with the money, then there's no chance to complete the job.
Yeah. So what did you do in a situation like that? Like, let's say the contractor ran off with the money, and the project is not completed, and now you have to like finish the project somehow. What did you do?
So what I used to do is I always under promise, over deliver. So if there's any project, I used to give my investor, look, listen, this is the best price, but worst case scenario, we have to be prepared for 10-20% extra marginal backup funds as well. That's what I used to renovate the project. I didn't manage to get into the standard I had initial planned, but somehow managed to get the job done to get the property back on the market.
Gotcha. Cool. Now, throughout all your business experience, what would you say is one investment, whether it's time, whether it's money, or maybe some sort of resources, that had the biggest payoff for you?
Investing in myself, meeting people like you, like yourself, meeting different people, learning from each other, sharing the energy, because the positive energy you can always share, and that the more you share, the more it grows. Similar to negative energy. If you keep on meeting negative people, all they have is complain about their life, and that will automatically transfer to you as well. I would say I would try to meet people who have positive energy. And from there, I used to make this energy bigger and bigger and try to meet more people.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's very important to share positive energy with others. And so how important would you say is marketing and building a personal brand to growing your business?
I think it's number one. Because if I hadn't done any marketing, anything like that, I wouldn't be here today. So I would say that's something you should not, you shouldn't unseen it. You should definitely consider that, number one, and learn from it or give it to the professional who can do it much better than you. Don't try to do it yourself.
So do you do marketing through different agencies, or do you just keep it in-house?
We do it through agency.
Yeah.
So we just try every time we try to pick up agency where we can learn and they can do much better than the previous agency, and just keep on taking actions.
Yeah. So as a business owner, sometimes we have very, very busy schedules. There's a lot of different things we got to do and take care of, and we have a huge to-do list. So how are you able to maintain a work-life balance when you've got such a busy schedule?
Number one thing is I don't believe in work-life balance actually, because my life and business is one. I don't take it business separate and my personal life separate. I take it as one. Even now I'm in Dubai, right? It's family vacation, but at the same time, I'm connecting with you. I'm connecting with my friends who are doing business in Dubai. So I take it as one, so that I don't feel I'm stressed in business or this different time. I don't feel like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's achieving harmony between the two.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what importance would you say like networking and building relationships plays in your overall business strategy?
What is important, or how much is important?
Yeah, like how important is that and why?
I would say out of 10, it's 11% important.
11 out of 10?
Yeah, exactly. The reason is because I have a brother, whom I call brother and mentor as well.
Yeah.
He's a multi-billionaire.
Yeah.
And the advice he gave me is, Nick, you don't try to do everything yourself. You find people who can do it better than you. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And that piece of advice, changed my life.
Yeah.
And I think it's very, very important, the power of networking.
Yeah. No, definitely. I absolutely 100% agree with you. There's just so many different things that become more efficient when you have the right network, and it allows you to grow your business faster. You can do it on your own. Like, that's not the problem. But I think you reach a certain point where you can't build further without other people. And at the end of the day, like, great things are not built alone. Even if you look at large companies like Microsoft and Amazon and Google, like, they were all built with partners, and like very, very key strategic people that helped make this thing a reality and make it very, very successful. So I always try to bring in strategic partners into my businesses. And I continue expanding my network so that I continue doing that. And I can grow my business faster. I'd rather build it with a team and build more businesses than try to build everything on my own and just kind of keep it all to myself.
Very true. Yeah. One of my mentor advised me, there's two ways to do business. He said, Nick, there's two ways to do business. One is in the business, another one's on the business. If you're in the business, literally you're doing everything yourself. You cannot scale.
Yeah.
But as a business owner, you should focus on the business, scaling your business, networking, your business vision, plan, hiring the right team, managing the right team, not doing all the job yourself.
Yeah.
Focus on the business, not in the business. That's what he advised me as well.
Yeah, that's great advice. So what's some advice that you would give to somebody who's an entrepreneur, a business owner, and they want to scale their business to the next level?
I would say in business, come back to networking. Let's circle back to networking. Try to meet people who are, much higher places than you, or where you want to be in future. Try to connect with those kind of people, shadow them, and just see how they do things, and just copy that exactly and modify and use in your life. That will help you to go faster.
Yeah. And so how do you see other businesses as far as like competition? So how do you make sure that you're doing better than the competition, or like you're collaborating with the right people, not the people who just want to use you, but are actually your competition? Like, how do you handle that whole aspect of competition?
So number one thing, what I believe is instead of competing, I believe in leading. So if competing, you are just one of them. But if you start leading, trying to do things differently. For example, let me give you an example of Tesla. Tesla, the car company, I believe it's US number one car company, but they have no ads. Right? Without ads, they are number one car company. How did Elon Musk did that? Because of standing out of the crowd, leading it.
Yeah,
I believe and I focus on that kind of vision. And with the collaboration, yes, I had few business partners. Collaboration, they try to use me. And again, I have to be grateful. You either win or you learn. You never lose until you give up. So I take it as a lesson, learning curve every time if anything goes wrong. And I pat myself as well. It's a celebration, because whenever you learn, make mistakes or lose something, it's a lesson as well.
Yeah.
And the greatest lesson you can learn by failure and from mistakes. and I celebrate every loss as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great opportunity to learn. And so as we wrap up here, my last question for you is, what are some common mistakes that you see other business owners make, and how can they avoid them?
The common mistake I would say, especially business owners, they take advice from the wrong people. They take advice from family, friends who have never done a business, or for mom who have never done a business, right? I think instead of taking advice, they'd love you. That doesn't mean they are right people to give you advice. You should take advice from the people who are doing it in their own life. Yeah. Not the ones who love you.
Yeah. The ones who have already achieved it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, cool. So if somebody wants to connect with you, what's the best way to find you?
So you can find me in TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Nik Dhimal. My name is Nikdhimal, and you can connect me. I'm active in those social media platforms.
Yeah. Awesome, Nik. Well, thank you so much for joining me here today, guys. This was another episode of Better Business with Austin Zelan. Some amazing insights from Nik and how he's been able to go from Nepal to army to now real estate mogul in the UK, and all the property management that he's been doing. So thank you all for joining, and we'll see you on the next episode.